This tutorial I want to talk about the gradient panel and tool, and this can be used for something like making a sphere. So I'll start with the ellipse tool, and I'm going to draw a perfect circle. And the way that you can easily draw a perfect circle is either click your mouse and plug in measurements or hold the shift key, and it will keep a 1-to-1 ratio as you drag out the circle. All right, so gradient is located over here on the panel. If you don't see it on the panel, make sure you go to Window and open up the gradient. It's also located over here as a tool. So I want to show you how each of them works. First, I'm going to start with the panel. So I click over here, and I'm going to pull this out to keep it open for us. And you'll probably see just the white into black default gradient. You'll also maybe just see this. So if you want to see more options, make sure that you hit this menu and show options. All right, the first thing that I did was I just clicked on this box to apply a gradient. So now you see the white to black. Illustrator has two options as far as types. Linear, which is just kind of directional, left to right, top to bottom, corner to corner, and the default is left to right because it doesn't have an angle on it. The other one is radial, and this is the one that I'm going to land on because we're trying to form a sphere. So radial just means that the changes are radiating out of this central point. Next, you do show a fill and an outline, and that's because you can put a gradient on either just the fill or the outline. I'm going to go ahead and take away my black outline here and then come back to gradient. All right, underneath that, underneath your swatches, you have an option where you can reverse the gradient. So it's white in the center coming out to black, or if I swap it by clicking that button, now it's black in the center coming out to white. So an easy way to reverse. Right here you have angle changes. So that would be for the linear one where I could change the linear from being left to right to top to bottom to corner to corner. So I can just change up its angles. And then this one is your aspect ratio, and right now it's basically a 1-to-1, so 100%. So it's a perfect circle. And if I change that, I can skew it to 40%. So if you ever don't have that perfect circle but want to fill, say, an oval, you can do that by skewing it here. We go back to 100% because I am a perfect circle. Underneath that, you have your slider color tools. The boxes show your colors. Okay, so there's white on one end and black on the other as this default, but you can move these around. You can also click underneath and add new boxes of color. And if you want to take them away, you just click and drag them off to delete. So there's your color setup. And then on top you have this diamond, and that's showing where the blend is happening. Notice when I was changing this, the location was changing. So you can select each one of these. If I click on it, it fills in with black. If I click on this, the top fills in with black. If I click on this, the top fills in with black. So whatever you select, the options below are showing you where the location is of that piece and if you can affect its opacity or how much you can see through it. So if I click on the white, you can see that it's 100% on opacity. That just means it's solid white, but I could change that and make it see-through. Its location is at 0. So this is 0 and this is 100. And then you would just, anywhere in between, move it. So if I wanted to change it from 0 and put it at 40%, now it's located at 40% along this edge. We'll go back to 0. Okay, to change colors, you can double click on this, double click. And again, you might just see grayscale as your options. And if you do and you want to have more options than just grayscale, change your color mode with this menu. I'm going to go over to CMYK. You have the sliders for each individual color. You can also just come click on colors. Or if you have used one of the default swatches or saved your own swatches, you can switch over to swatch mode here. Okay, I'm going to go back to white, and then I'll change my color on the black to be, let's just do this kind of blue-violet color. Okay, so that's setting it up within the panel. Now let's look at the gradient tool. When I click on the gradient tool, now you'll see this white line kind of appear, and when I hover over it, it shows me more information. But it's showing me where the one highlight color is, that's the inside, and a line to the shadow color, the outside. And I can move it around, I can resize it, and I can also hover and change things like where the blend happens, or change the color of it. So you can also manipulate with this gradient tool. Okay, you can click and drag, change the location. I can make it really small or really large. You can change the size of it. So the tool basically can do this. It's just a little bit more manual, as in you're clicking on the pieces and you're dragging where the location is, and you're having to double click to access the color. So anyway, there's the difference between the two. I want to do gradient on a line now, just to show you that there are some new options. So I'm just going to draw a line, and I'm going to make it very, very thick. Okay, so over here on your gradient panel, instead of having the fill be in front, now I'm going to click on the outline so that it is in front. Click on the gradient. So now you can see I've applied the gradient to the line. You can even see it previewing right here. This time I'm going to go linear. And you have options as far as how that gradient is going to fill the stroke. So with this first option, it's going with the stroke. So left to right here, white to violet. I do not have a corner, so even if I click on this center one, it's not changing much, but you can see this preview what it would do inside of a corner of something. And then this last one is going across the stroke. And so I was thinking that this would be a good way to make something look like it's a pipe or a cylinder look. So the darks on the edges, I'm going to copy this color and bring it over to the other side and make it feel like there's shadows on the edges and there's a highlight down the middle. Click off of this. All right. So it makes it look like a rounded kind of pipe.